Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, I could not resist. I have to go over this with you because it pretty much states what I talked about on the previous video that I put up about lumber. Shrinkflation is hitting the grocery store aisles as companies charge the same amount for less. It's like I said on my previous video, ladies and gentlemen. Prices are not going down to pre-health crisis levels. They may come down a little bit from their highs, but they are not going down. It is why I am such a big advocate of you protecting your excess wealth, because I don't see this getting better anytime soon. Ice cream maker Tillamook said in a recent blog post that a sharp rise in the price of berries and other ingredients left it no choice. It would reduce the carton size from 56 ounces to 48 ounces and keep the price the same, rather than shock shoppers with a sharp price hike. See, ladies and gentlemen, they don't really have a choice. Well, they do have a choice. They can either leave the size the same and charge more, or lower the portion size and charge the same if they want to stay in business. Welcome to the post-health crisis grocery aisle, where consumers are increasingly paying the same price for less, a phenomenon known as shrinkflation. It's not a new trick, as the technique often comes into play during periods of rising inflation or economic downturns. This health crisis has placed cost pressures on a number of industries and their products due to a range of factors, such as difficulty hiring workers, trucking shortages, and price increases for raw materials. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? Everything they mentioned here, right, such as difficulty hiring workers, that is due to who? The government. Such as trucking shortages, that is due to who? The government. Why? Because of knee-jerk reactions by our elected politicians to things that are going on that they know nothing about. And price increases for raw materials. Where do you think that comes into play at the government's hands? Maybe all of the money that they've been printing, maybe because they printed out of thin air 30+% of all of the fiat currency that has ever existed in our economy just in the span of 1 year. Maybe that has a little bit to do with price increases for raw materials. On Thursday, the United Nations FAO Food Index said global food prices jumped in May, marking the biggest month-on-month gain since October of 2010 and bringing the index to its highest point since September of 2011. The rising price of everything from berries to corn is placing food producers and grocery stores in a bind, pushing them to decide whether to increase the sticker price or to shrink the package and charge the same amount. Because many shoppers tend to base their purchasing decisions on price rather than examining the weight of the package. Some producers and grocers are opting for the latter. If you are a manufacturer or retailer, you have a couple of choices. You can keep prices the same, which means you have lower margins. Second, you can run fewer promotions, and that definitely happened in the last year. And the third measure is to keep prices the same, but have a little less in the box. In times of high inflation, your ribeye will be cut a little thinner, so you are around the price point that a consumer believes is ideal. Shrinkflation is often more palatable for grocers and manufacturers because they can maintain their margins, which are often thin for grocery stores, about 1 or 2 pennies on the dollar. At a Reddit forum on shrinkflation, people have documented shrinking packaging for everything from potting soil to facial tissue. Pet owners have posted their objections to smaller cans of pet food, in which some cans shrunk from 5.9 ounces all the way to 5.1 ounces. And here it says, quote, "You changed the name, label, and reduced the size. Did you think that consumers wouldn't notice?" And of course, ladies and gentlemen, the infamous Costco Kirtland brand paper towels Whereas previously they used to offer a roll of 160 paper towels, and now they offer a roll of 140. Other companies are shrinking product sizes to simply keep goods on the shelf. It's like I said, ladies and gentlemen, you can't really blame the company for this, especially grocery type companies, because they do operate on a very tight margin, right? They don't really make that much money at the end of the year. Like I stated previously, they have maybe a 1 or 2% margin to deal with. And here, Costco said it changed its paper towel packaging to include fewer sheets per roll due to continuing demand for the product after shortages during the health crisis. That allowed the discount chain to increase the number of units it sells and keep the paper towels in stock. Costco said it is keeping the paper sheet price the same, with the smaller rolls selling for $14.79 a pack compared with $16.99 a pack for the bigger rolls. Both packages reflect a cost of 88 cents per 100 sheets. So while Costco shoppers aren't getting as many paper towels per roll as they did before, they also aren't paying as much for them. Well, I'll have to investigate into that. I haven't bought paper towels for years because when Sam's Club up here in Fairbanks, when they closed their doors, they were selling things at 75% discount. And we're still working off of the paper towels that we bought at a 75% discount 2 or 2.5 years ago or so when they went out of business up here. So I'll have to go and take a look at that and see if what they're saying here is true. We recognize this change is not ideal and hope to return to the original 160 sheets per roll item as soon as possible, the company said in an email statement to CBS Money Watch. That's good news, actually. I hope that they do. I really hope that they do, so that they can stay to their word. That would be awesome. And it says here, grocery bills are 7 to 10% higher since this health crisis. Many Americans may be facing sticker shock at the grocery stores. Average prices rose 4% across a range of consumer packaged goods between March 2021 and May 2021. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, that is an astronomical price. 4% in the span of a couple of months. That really is a lot when you think about it. Household cleaning products have increased 8% from the year ago period. But compared with prices prior to March 2020, before the health crisis shuttered the economy, consumers are paying between 7 to 10% more across the grocery aisles. All through the supply chain, everyone is struggling to get labor, and transportation costs have, in some cases, tripled. This is partly due to an imbalance in supply and demand, with Oxford Economics pointing to the reopening of the U.S. economy as putting new pressures on retailers, restaurants, and other businesses. For instance, restaurants, which shut off purchases of meat and other supplies last year when this health crisis shuttered the economy, are now ramping up purchase orders to meet the resurgent demand for customers. And they continue to say that means they're ordering meat and other supplies again, just as a few 100 million American consumers are also in the market for steaks to throw on the summer grill. Costco Chief Financial Officer Richard Galanti said on an earnings call last month that beef prices have risen as much as 20% in the past month, partly due to higher feed and transportation costs, as well as increased demand, coming now from institutional needs as restaurants start to reopen. Amid the economy's ebullient reopening, demand is rebounding more rapidly than supply, creating bottlenecks and price increases in many sectors. Inflation is likely to cool later in the year as supply and demand regain much of their post-health crisis equilibrium. But until then, consumers may feel the pain at the grocery store, including finding they're paying the same for less. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Take it as you may, in my opinion. And remember, I'm not a pessimist by nature, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really just a realist. But in my opinion, prices may come back down a little bit, but they'll never come back down to pre-2020 levels. You're just not going to see it. There's way too much money, too much fiat currency in the economy for prices to come down to where they were before 2020. Having said that, again, thank you very much for joining in. I hope you got something out of this, ladies and gentlemen. What's the moral of the story? Get what you can while you can. Put it away. Get some insurance for your family's sustenance. Get some insurance for your family's needs of the things that they're used to living on day-to-day basis. That way, your standard of living will not be diminished when they continue and finally succeed at destroying our dollar. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper. I am out.